The largest library in the world sits right in our backyard, the Library of Congress. It's the research arm of Congress, but it's also for the people, and 2 million people visit every year. The woman in charge, we're talking Carla Hayden. She's the first female and the first African-American librarian of Congress. And she's on a mission to get more people in the DMV to visit the best-kept secret in Washington. First of all, it's my pleasure to talk to you. I've like watched and admired you from a distance. I mean, from the time you came here from Baltimore. It's your 1-year anniversary?
It's my 1-year anniversary being the 14th Librarian of Congress, and I have to tell you, it's been wonderful.
First woman, first African-American in the job?
The first woman, the first African-American, and only the third professional librarian in almost 200 years.
Right. What were your expectations when you got the gig? And looking back after 1 year, what are the surprises?
One of the biggest surprises after a year is how many things are still to be discovered at the Library of Congress. And people who have been here for 40, 50 years are still discovering things.
What's amazed you most? What did you not expect when you took this job?
I did not expect to be able to touch history in the way that I've been able to do. To see Rosa Parks' handwritten notes about her arrest, to really look at Abraham Lincoln's life mask, to be able to see Teddy Roosevelt's diary. And those types of things are touching history. We right now get about 1.8 million visitors to the Library of Congress each year, right here in DC. And we want to be one of the top 5 tourist destinations, but also for the people in the Washington community. We want people to come to the free concerts and the film showings with free popcorn and all of these things that are happening right here in Washington.
If I were to take a tour of the Library of Congress today, what's the first thing you'd want me to see? Where would you take me?
If you could come into the Jefferson Building, that's the jewel. It's been called the most beautiful building in Washington, D.C., the first to have electricity in this city. You would see this magnificent temple to learning and knowledge, and then you would see Thomas Jefferson's original library that he sold to the United States.
Yeah. Are we all represented here? Slavery, for example. What's in here pertaining to the country's slave history?
When you think about the country's history and the African-American history and the fact that we have Abraham Lincoln's draft of the Emancipation Proclamation in his own hand, when you see the draft of the Declaration of Independence, that the original draft had a section on slavery and it was taken out because they knew they couldn't pass it if they kept slavery in. You can also see the first known photograph of Harriet Tubman, and it will be shared with the new African American Museum as well.
If a young woman sitting here talking to you, my daughters, for example, what could you show them? I
would show any young person, especially a young African American girl, Rosa Parks' description of how she felt in that cell, in her own handwriting, in pencil, on note paper. And I would hope that they could realize that it takes bravery, and there are so many figures that we see in history that are just like them.
Okay, I'm hooked. I'm going back. I talked a lot more with Carla Hayden, including about how big the library actually is. There are more than 164 million items, with thousands upon thousands arriving every day. And the library has locations around the world. You can see that in part of our interview on WUSA9.com. Also, Hayden put a lot of emphasis on the fact that this is your library. If you haven't been down there, it's on Capitol Hill, across from the U.S. Capitol. Check it out. They also host plenty of events and tours for the community.